Recently, you said something very positive about the Mutapa Investment Fund. But I just wanted to ask, in this discussion, maybe you just tell us your understanding of what this animal is and what does it do? Why is it existing?
Okay. So Mutapa Investment Fund, it's as it is defined, it's an investment fund. It's not a resource-based fund. It's an asset-based fund. We used to have a resource-based fund, which was called Sovereign Wealth Fund of Zimbabwe. And it was promulgated a couple of years ago. Basically, it should create savings and build reserves using mineral, like when you have surpluses. It not build anything. Unlike the Pula Fund, which, if I'm not mistaken, is around $4 billion last time I checked. The Pula Fund is structured in a manner that it has a joint venture between government and private sector, and they take their dividend and they build their fund. In our instances, even where we had our mines, like gold mines and other various mining houses which are under the state-owned enterprises, they were underperforming, and because of governance issues and also lack of capitalization, so they did not bring anything. So government took a position to put up an asset-based fund, with borrowing on Ethiopia. By the way, the Ethiopian Airways, which we admire, is part of the Ethiopia Investment Holdings, which is the equivalent of Mutapa
Investment Fund.
You have Singapore, you have Dubai, you have China, you have Namibia, you have Mozambique. They have similar setup. Now, why do you want an investment fund? So first, you want to sweat the assets.
You want what?
Sweat the assets.
Okay.
And you can then use the assets to borrow money, what is called sub-sovereign debt, because you are aligning the asset and the money which you want to borrow. It's better than having what you call sovereign debt, because sovereign debt is like it's a country which is owing, but who is the country? It's like Maduku's view of ZANU-PF to say you are blaming ZANU-PF. Who is ZANU-PF? Because it's an animal, it's a big animal. So it's like that, it's similar in nature. So it's difficult to get alliance of credits to restructure the company if you are borrowing as a country as a sovereign debt. But you can borrow easily with the sub-sovereign debt because you are going with the assets of, say, IDC, and say Industrial Development Corporation has got these assets, these tracts of land we want, and if you fail to pay, you attach this.
You just understand more in terms of this Mutapa Investment Fund. How many entities are part of it now?
In terms of there are 30 companies with some of them with subsidiaries. So in terms of companies, if I include subsidiaries, it should be 70. But in terms of when you say ZESA, but you would know ZESA would have subsidiary. When you say IDC, it's one, but it was subsidiaries like Complex, Zimforce, but they fall under IDC, so they end up getting to 70 companies. But in terms of the state-owned holding companies, there are 30.
So how is money being saved by this institution? What kind of model are these entities doing? Are they contributing from their profits? What is exactly happening?
So what should happen is that they should first, these companies, they're in two categories. Those which are performing well, 50%. Those which are not performing well, which want to be helped, to be fixed. 50% as well. So we're talking about half of that. So remember, they were put together in the legal instrument came into effect, I think September 2023, right?
Yes.
So we have 2024 and 2025 as the operating year, right? And we're talking about state-owned enterprises, which were now contributing 2% of gross domestic product, which used to be contributing 40%. So do you expect any savings from that kind of setup? You are rebuilding. That's why I talked about the strategy they've put in place, 5-year strategy called FIRE, which means fix. So they have to fix some parastatals, some state-owned enterprises, and they have to invigorate those which are breathing properly. They have to reinforce, strengthen, right? And how the money saves, they have to extract now. Those which are now.
But what made these entities to be in the state that required them now this recapitalization?
Multiple factors. The economy became a critical role, played a critical role. Remember that these parastatals are equivalent to private sector companies which closed as well. So the economy did not spare them. The currency issue did not spare them. The inflation did not spare them. Everyone faced asset impairment, so they also faced the same. That's number one. Second issue, poor governance, erosion of governance, massive corruption, right? And that one also a big issue. And inefficiencies in terms of management, no proper supervision. And also inefficiencies in the sense that there was no coordination. Because some of these state enterprises, they crisscross some line ministries. And you have a minister who has got a mandate. And this one is affected by the same state-owned enterprises. So it doesn't create efficiencies.
So is corruption going to stop because there are now corruption and inefficiency? Are these going to stop because they are now under Mutapa Investment Fund?
So the two answers to that. So I always argue that we need to do with corruption as a national disaster. Because before they were under Mutapa, there was corruption, isn't it? And if there's no political will to deal with corruption, you see corruption everywhere. Not only under Mutapa, not only under ministries, but also in the private sector. So let's deal with corruption as a national disaster. And that is my submission, which I always put. And I will be very naive to say there won't be any corruption with something called Mutapa. Mutapa is not a ZAC. Mutapa is not a state institutions which are supposed to be, we talk of this in economics, we need strong institutions which deal with corruption, which create the enabling environment for business. We need political will. So the corruption must be dealt with as a whole. But the question is that what are the safeguarding measures which Mutapa Investment Fund has put in place to deal with the corruption? That's a separate issue. The second answer which I want to put to say, which I also followed with the CEO to say, how are you going to deal with corruption in terms of accountability and showing transparency to the public, right? And one of the central issues in governance is to audit your institution. All companies which you see in private sector don't go to parliament to report because they're not public enterprises, right? But they are doing very well. Why? Because they have a board which is in charge, which is there, and they also follow auditing process, and they do it in a transparent manner, right? Privately, and some of them are listed on stock exchange. They are required to publish it, right? So if you are a private company, you don't publish it. If you're a public company, you are compelled by the law to publish it. So Mutapa Investment Fund. So I'm trying to explain the importance of governance as a critical role of stemming corruption. Because what are you auditing? You're auditing systems and controls which you have put in place to protect the assets of the and guarantee and play the profit role for the public. So the CEO told me that they will soon be publishing audited financial accounts, not only for Mutapa, but also for the previous sovereign wealth fund, to just show what happened.
Yeah, but for Mutapa, this is an institution that has been operating for almost 2 years now.
Correct.
No financial statement that has been published anywhere.
No, but how do you publish financial statements in a year when you're starting? But I'm simply saying...
No, this is 2+ years, Prof.
Correct. They told me that they're in the final cycle of the audit. And I don't want to put it dates. I'm not the CEO of Mutapa.
Who is auditing them?
I don't know. And that's a good question, which must be answered by Mutapa. And
in your conversations with the Mutapa CEO, did it come out?
You know what? When you meet, if I meet you at your workplace, I should also have an appreciation that I'm not a shareholder I'm not the principal rather. So you want to leave room for trust. Yeah.
The reason why I'm asking these questions, Prof, is you came out saying you are now convinced that Mutapa investment is now a game changer.
So are you saying by any extension that if I don't know the auditing company, it can nullify my view that it's a game changer when I was satisfied by the strategy they have?
You're an economist and you know better that accountability and transparency are very key when it comes to something that you can describe as a game changer, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. So this is why, this is why I'm asking to say, how would you then arrive at to say this institution, this system is a game changer when transparency is not there, accountability is not there. There's an institution that has been operating for the past 2 years, no financial statement that has been published. How does it become a game changer when it does not correspond or appreciate the public finance management as espoused in the Constitution, particularly Section 298?
Do you understand the process of auditing?
Yes, I do.
What is the process methodologically?
Okay, here the question that I'm asking.
No, but I want you to understand because there's an essence of time. Look, I want to answer you adequately. I don't want us to miss this point because the people who are watching must understand where you're coming from. So I'm saying this is an institution which was promulgated into law, right? And the CEO was appointed, right? And he's supposed to appoint his team together with the board, right? Now, then you have to put the systems, right? Systems. So there was a process of them setting the Mutapa. The legal framework is one thing. The process of setting it up now, say we're now having this entity, which is now called is a Mutapa Investment Fund. It's not like moving bread from the tuck shop to the dining.
Wasn't it supposed to happen first?
No. Let's not look at that. Let's say so what do you audit? You have to put together the animal called Mutapa Investment Fund. Then you put the checks, because you're no longer auditing the Ministry of Transport, if it is NRZ, right? You are now auditing Mutapa Investment Fund. You're auditing yourself. Someone has to audit you. So they have to check, is there any variance or a deviation between what is expected of you, right, and what you are doing. So that process cannot be done in a second of the way we go and buy bread from the tuck shop and put it on a dining. You need time. So I understood that because the auditing is a process. You have to check against set systems. And I think it's fair to say in 2 years, you can give 1 year as a year of establishment and the other year now checking how it's performed. That's why you take annual audits, because you are checking how it's performed in that year. So I think it's only fair to say there's nothing much to worry about for 2 years. But if we go into 3rd year and there's no audit, I also question them. I'm not their guarantor to say because we discussed. But it's only fair to give a chance to say there's a logical thinking here in terms of how things work in the real world. Because people on social media sometimes don't understand that how an audit. I used to run an university. I know systems. I know what is an audit. It's not a child play. Yeah, you have to set up, you must have a robust methodology of checking every department how it is performed. Is there any material effect to say this is not working? That area,
the Sovereign Wealth Fund, as far as I understand it, and its objectives is to secure the future of the future generations.
Correct.
And now this is an institution that cannot be scrutinized or oversight of Parliament. Can be there. The Auditor General cannot exercise the authority to audit it. It's in other ways, because this is the concern, Prof, that is on social media, in the public fora right now, to say everything is shrouded in secrecy. This is something that you are so confident that is going to change things.
I'm happy with my confidence. I don't work on emotions. I work on facts, and clearly you are refusing to listen to what I'm telling you here. You are still concerned as I was. By the way, when I meet these senior officials, I'm the one who knocked on their door. No one has ever called me to come and have a meeting. It's me who knocks, because I'm also concerned as a citizen. And it's me who make a conclusion of what I've. So it's only fair for people to understand the approach which I use. I've already told you. You are raising a fundamental issue that there are secrets. How are you going to see secrets if the audit reports are going to be to the public? Who is bigger, public and even the parliament? What stops parliament to call Mutapa Investment Fund and say, we want you to explain this, like what they do with the oversight role?
Well, they're shielded by the SI of 2023. If you read that legislation, it exonerates it it exonerates Parliament. Parliament can't have an oversight on it. The Auditor General can't have an oversight on it.
No, let's say they bring in an independent auditor, right? They get they audit the reports, they publish it for the public. Is there secrets?
You know better. You are an economist.
No, we're having a conversation. I'm trying to address
an independent or private auditor.
Independent. Let's say independent.
Equally a private.
Whichever case, an audit is an audit.
And we know for a fact that those people are very much interested in securing the contracts. And there's no way they can just publish negative stuff to say you have aired here and there. It can't go into the public because in future they won't be contracted.
Is that so? Is it how you are describing this top auditing firm, global audit firm? That's not how they operate. I think we must be fair. I know we have pessimism as Zimbabweans, but I think we're taking too far to say an international audit firm who sing for the supper and cover up. I don't think that is how they operate.
What stops them from doing that?
No, anyone can do it, but I'm saying to blanket them in that manner, I think it's wrong. Because they are guided by the ethical values. They audit even big mining companies. There's no money which can match some monies in the mining sector, which are published in even on the public domain. So I'm refusing a point where you are saying these international audit firms can actually sing for the SAP and cover the information. Let's do this. Let's go step by step. If they had said they're not audited, we will not know what's happening in Mutapa. Then we can't even talk about this whole thing. But if they say, let's wait and see when the audit are going to be published, and we begin a debate from there. And why we are doing this, we want to contribute to the development of the country. And I will not go and defend them to say they pick Mugano auditing, and they say Mugano is audited if I have an auditing firm. We want things to be credible. So the concerns are shared. But it's only fair. No, I can't meet you. I'm here out of respect. That's why we're having this conversation. You invested your time, I'm investing my time. So is it fair I come out of this discussion, we have a good conversation, by and large you are satisfied, and say it's useless because you want to please Twitter warriors?
No. Yeah. This is a very important discussion, Prof. Yeah. Okay, minus the secrets that this whole institution is operating in. There's also another thing that people are questioning. What is the value that can be placed in this institution right now after, with all these entities under it? What is the value?
$16 billion, excluding, if we say net assets, 14, if you take out the debt, but in total, $16 billion.
But I think it's very problematic, Prof. When you look at I think it's 2021 or 2020, I can't be very certain, but government acquired about 35% shares worth 1.6 billion. And pretty much it puts it around 4.5 billion. And now you're placing at 16 billion. That's it. The variance now is plus or minus 11.
No,
with all these entities, with all these other entities, will they worth?
No, let's
11 billion,
let's wait for the audit. But we are saying how much is it worth.
No, but in general perspective, we've got ZPC under it, is it? We've got Wange Collier under it. We've got NRZ. We've got Jena Mine. We've got quite a number of these. Are they worth 11 billion, honestly?
No, it's a good question, and it can only be answered when we see an audit, because the question is fundamental.
Before you even go to the audit, Prof.
So you want me to say there are 30 billion?
No, I don't know. This is what I'm asking.
That's why I'm refusing.
But I'm just trying to see the logic of all these entities worth 11 billion.
Remember that these entities have suffered asset impairment and erosion because of the economy, to an extent that you are doubting that. What are you doubting? Econet used to be over $3 billion in terms of its size, capitalization. I'm saying it because the public ended. Last year, if I'm not mistaken, it was around $300 million. So you can see what it does, the economic erosion. Most companies in Zimbabwe, talk to any CEO. If you trust them, they'll tell you that they have shrinked what we call capital erosion because of the economy. So the sizes which you might want to envisage in terms of the value, if you were waiting for Econet, if you were following Econet stocks, you would actually say, if you won't follow the latest development, because this is a publicly listed company, you still think it's $3 billion. That's why I say wait for the audit, because a lot of things have happened. I was avoiding to go into this, but I don't feel like I'm defending. I'm not here to defend Mutapa, whether it's good or bad, but I wanted to explain my view, why I've come to that point. But beyond the audits, which is very critical, the governance issue, I think there is a silent in the strategy which they are putting. What is their roadmap for the next 5 years? They shared with me that strategy, and it impressed me to share. If they implement it, yes, I know that our challenge in Zimbabwe is execution. And why I like this conversation, they follow, they listen. I actually reached out to the CEO and say, you see what people are saying, you have a responsibility to implement, because my endorsement was coming as a goodwill in advance, so that you encourage the good thing which I've seen in terms of craft. So if they implement what they've shown me, which is an academic, so this makes logical sense. Clearly, it's a game changer. 2030, it will be another economy which we'll be having. But if they don't implement that, even if they have the perfect governance, because the strategy matters. If they don't sweat the assets, if they don't recapitalize, if they don't resource them, if they don't reinvigorate them, then we will not be going anywhere. So for me, I think what you want to employ on Zimbabweans say, also to question them, do you endorse something when it's at formation or a formative stage, or you dismiss it because of past experience? Then you say, let's wait up to 5 years.
Yeah, so it becomes... The CEO was once a central bank governor, and we know what happened during his tenure in terms of our currency.
So you think the whole currency collapsed because of him?
Yeah, but we had the leader. Everything starts and falls on the
leader.
No,
that's not correct. That's not correct. I can explain to you what kills the currency. Minister of Finance plays a critical role in killing the currency. And I will tell you what happened between 2013 and 2018. Namasa accrued public debt through treasury bills of $9.4 billion. And that became a challenge because when it created fictitious money, we don't have RTGS. Do you know RTGS is a real-time gross settlement? It's a payment platform. So Chinamasa created electronic printing of money through treasury bills. You understand? And that has nothing to do with the central bank. Right now, we are sitting on a time bomb.
No, you're speaking to a man who have pledged with his job to say if this one fails.
Listen, I wanted you to understand
So he's the same man now who is leading Mutapa Investment. But you are so confident of the man who...
But I am not going to agree to say he killed the currency. I've told you in our initial discussion that a currency... the strength of the currency is reflected in the country's productive capacity. That's why we need the structural policies. So even the current governor, I will not sit here and say he was solely responsible for the decline of the currency. He would have contributed, but he will not be the sole causer. It's a misplaced view, and that's very wrong. So let's look at it in a holistic approach. We are all responsible, even yourself. If you don't deposit money in the bank, you're killing the currency. because there are no deposits, there are no savings, there's no investment, there's no production. But if you don't put the money in the bank, you're killing the currency. The simple as that.
So I should put it back again.
No, we must have consensus dialogue and say what is required for me to put money in the bank, and we unite. You know, Zimbabwe, what we are doing, we are behaving like suicide bombs.
Do you need to be?
No. Let me explain.
Have consensus, or simply need to follow the laws?
Let me explain. We are behaving like suicide bombs because we are self-destructive in the sense that we are disappointed because of yesteryear failures, which is very correct. But how do we want to go up to this generation should extinguish when we are fighting? We need dialogue. Every country which has got a crisis needs a dialogue. Go to Malaysia, 1995, 1996, they had the Great Langkawi Dialogue, which helped it to restore their challenges in 1995. Now Malaysia, I don't even know it. Go to Zambia, when the Kwacha went into dustbin, they had a dialogue, they had prioritizing 15 sectors, they narrowed down to 3, they agreed on a roadmap as a people. We are not fond of dialogue. That's why when I go and meet people, people say, Watengwa, I'm dialoguing, I'm doing my part, but we need a national dialogue because the things which are worried about must be addressed. The law follows next because we must have a social contract.
You advise me to wait for the audit. I would also advise you maybe before we get to the game changer part to wait as well.
For 5 years.
I don't know what
do I lose by saying it's a game changer?
How do you know that it's a game changer?
I know it. I'm saying
single financial statement.
Costa. So single financial statement is the only thing which you can use to define it.
No, it's all hinges on transparency and accountability.
Costa, you are now playing with gallery.
These things,
Costa, you are playing with gallery. And let's stop that. I have told you the process of audit. You need to set up systems. I don't go back there. I thought you have listened to that.
Prof, I agree with
now,
you.
once we have that, let's agree. Let's bury this one. Anyone in his or her right mindset who have the experience of how a company is run, you can't start a company today, your own company, and think that you can have an audit by end of year. Right? So, and there's nothing misnomer in this Mutapa that they have 2 years, and in the second year they are producing the audit. So I don't see any challenge with that. The audit is coming out. It was told it was done. So it's either you believe me or don't believe me. What I was told. And I will go and ask him that he said the audit what is coming. And maybe you need to interview him once he does not bring it because he's the CEO. So I don't want us to, because this design is like, it's not productive now if you keep on talking about something which you have exhausted to say. You cannot start a company and audit it in the same year. That's not possible. Bring a CEO here and ask him the same thing. It's not possible, Costa.
But it's possible to do it after 3 years.
No.
What will be happening?
No. But let's be practical here. Let's reason. It's not possible to audit yourself in the year of when you're starting. Whom are you going to be auditing? Let's be very practical. So the real year of functioning of them is almost like a year. So they are now due for being audited what they've done. So that issue is no brainer. But if I go on Twitter, I won't finish it because people in Twitter, they don't listen. Some of them, not all of them. People in Zimbabwe are angry because of what they have experienced. But if you stay in anger, you become a self-destructive suicide bomb. They don't even listen. I was in a meeting of 2 hours. We were not having drinks, we were not eating. We were talking. We were going through things. So you should just at least appreciate that we discussed. If I said just sitting there and the same type, it's good. From where? At least I went to talk to them and I have appreciated. And there's no way I can even exhaust what we discussed here. And even in my conscience, I won't even give you all the details because I was favored, not because I was given top secrets, but I just give you what is digestible for the public. But the point I want to make is that they have a responsibility as Mutapa Investment Fund. The questions you are raising are fundamental. But when we have set an explanation to say this is what has happened and let's give them a few months to come, let's wait for them to do it. So
enough of the Mutapa Investment Fund. Let's talk about the 2026 budget. What is your general comment on it?
My major word on the 2026 budget is that the minister is more concerned of collecting taxes, revenue. It is the most painful budget to citizens. it is a waste budget. If I want to describe whether it's a good budget, I have seen some analysts say it's the best budget ever. I don't agree with that. I think it's the worst in the sense that they've escalated the taxes. So it's like from bad to worse. Where I have critical pain points relates to royalties on gold. It affects profitability of the mining sector.
But if they don't collect money, just help me understand my little knowledge of finance.
Yeah.
How should the government run?
No, let's look at it in a broader picture. You need 10% of an elephant than 100% of a rat. You know, both you are collecting 100% of a rat and 10% of an elephant. You are richer, right? What do we mean? Government must stimulate the economy, must grow the economy to create an elephant. Then you lower your taxes. How do you get more taxes? Do you know if it is if you have lower taxes, people comply. If the taxes are higher, I'll give a simple example. I've said it affects profitability of the mining sector to the extent that we are going to have capital flight if they maintain those, because it's 10% of sales. It's not profit. So imagine this year up to October, we sold $3.8 billion of gold. So 380 million will go to treasury. It's coming from the mining companies. And if it was on profit, it's not a big issue. But on sales, it means including you've not covered your expenses. Remember, when you are saying profit, you are saying gross sales minus admin expense, minus expenses. So they won't be able to cover the expenses. In this short term, yes, they will cover because of the bubble of the price of gold. But when you look at international news, there are no indications that we'll continue to see gold going up beyond 2.3, the pricing. So it might actually recede. And if the risk of American sanctions goes down, central banks will also be forced to sweat the gold. You can't keep on building gold in your reserves without having US dollars. At some point, you need to float. Because it's not fungible. So you can't transfer gold to make payments easily. You need some US dollars. So you need currency. So that will cause some losses in the mining sector. But the big one is smuggling now, which actually self-defeat what you're trying to say, how are you going to collect money if you don't charge taxes? Because clearly now...
simply saying maybe the government needs some money.
It needs, and we must support government rather. But I'm simply saying they must have what we call optimum tax regime, where the tax is efficient, the tax is not very expensive, it's easy to administer. Those are the tenets of a good tax regime. How are you going to make more money as a government if you charge 3% on withdraw fees on withdrawal of money? What is going to happen? It means you're killing the banks.
You're encouraging me to put the money
in the mattress.
With this now?
Yeah, no. I'm saying that's why I say we need a dialogue. These are things we must be dealt with, but eventually we must put money in the bank. But I'm saying this is what is...
And then 3% will affect me?
No, of course, I'm saying we don't want 3%, we must put money in the bank. We need to dialogue about the pain points. What is it which is stopping from putting money in the bank? But I'm saying, remember, you asked me about the budget. So I wanted to qualify why I say it is a wasted budget. So the 3%, 2% to 3%, depending on thresholds, is going to discourage banking of money. Because already businesses, companies, were not banking as much as they were banking. They were banking in a kind of apologizing for making profit or crocodile tears. Minister of Finance, I saw him asking a question, why would a company need $10,000? I think he doesn't understand how the economy function. I'm in the beef value chain. That's why I'm investing. You know, if you are buying cattle in the countryside, they need cash. They don't want to go to the bank. So if I'm going to be banking the money and I want to pay for to buy cattle, I need money, I need cash. So we have a cash economy to an extent that even service providers to companies need cash. Remember, we have the informal sector, which is over 80%. And some of these are in the suppliers list of companies. Yes, one way is to force them to bank, but there are some areas where you can't force them. You want to buy maize. You want to buy maize from a farmer. They want cash. And even if you say open an account, they say, okay, fine, go. I will wait for someone who want to pay cash. And you are desperate. You are a miller. You need cash. So the reasoning to say they must open an account should happen progressively in a sequenced manner once we deal with the pain points which people are concerned about, which we're raising. But you can't say use cash. Otherwise, business supply chain will collapse. So the other one is increasing VAT. My one, tax, it makes a direct impact on inflation. Our inflation rate on US dollar is around 13.1%, and that's quite massive in US dollar terms. So automatically it causes inflation, but also most importantly, it increases the price of goods in the retail chain, formal retail chain. And you see the challenges with formal retail chain, they're competing with the very competitive informal sector, the tuck shops. Those guys don't charge VAT. So again, you're pushing more people into the informal sector. So he's going to lose the VAT, which he was supposed to be getting because he was already getting 14%. He was supposed to keep his 14% and he maintain the status quo, right? And the same applies with the beef value chain. It's now over 70% in informal because of VAT. It used to be the other way around. And health concerns are now an issue of concern. So he's now losing over $25 million. I did a study, which used to accrue to him through the established abattoirs and meat processors. But now they don't have volumes which they were having because people are now taking to the informal sector, and there's not that money is being lost in the process. So the last point I want to talk about why this is one of the worst budget. We know normally when the Minister of Finance speaks to the budget, there is a workers' warfare in the budget. This time around, it was dead silent. We did not hear much about bonuses. We only heard about the presidential bonus. But in the budget, it was dead silent. We did not hear anything to do with salary adjustment and tax bands being adjusted. It was dead silent. So it's very depressing, indeed.
Thank you very much, Prof. We have spoken at length.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Can have your parting shots to all of yours.
No, thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. What I can say to citizens of Zimbabwe is that dialogue is the way to go. We are angry because of missteps by government, and we are justified to be angry. But we must avoid being suicide bombs to ourselves. We are the current generation. It is our duty to engage government. It is our duty to call government to order. It is our duty to hold government account. But in everything which we do, we must always think about constructive discussion. We must lower down toxicity because when we are all toxic, we miss each other along the way. We have traveled the road of 28 years in currency crisis from 14 November 1997. Are we prepared to continue for the same journey for the next decade without seeing each other? I see the public is very angry. When we say government has done well in this area, it's a good thing to do, because when things are looking positive, we must commend that. When we say that it is not doing well, we should also say so they're not doing well. But that creates space for dialogue. You can't blacklist everything, and you can't also call each other names because you have commended that the government has done well. And you can't call someone a hero because you have criticized government. We should call each other heroes on facts, and we should call each other heroes on merit, and we should build our country together. You and me, we can make Zimbabwe great. I thank you.
Thank you everyone for watching, and thank you very much for continuing to follow our programs. Please continue to subscribe on our channel. Until next time, I'm signing out.